Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdouts Newsstand, and normally I talk about some indies, I talk about some DC Comics, I'll talk a little bit about the industry, but today we're going to talk about a company I never actually mentioned, and that should say a lot in itself. We're going to talk about IDW Publishing and what is going on with them, and the fact that they are literally, I am not being hyperbolic here, they're on their last limb. We may see the nail in the coffin, and this may be the beginning of the end for them. And there is some news that came out a while back I'm going to incorporate in here, but let me know down in the comments. As comic book readers, do you ever pick up anything from IDW? Are you a fan of Transformers? Do you like My Little Pony? My Little Bronies? Do you enjoy Sonic? Are those properties you like, or even Usagi Yojimbo? Is there something you're enjoying at IDW that you would be sad to see go? Now, I hope I am wrong about this. I don't want to see this company go under. I don't like seeing anything like that. But at this point, it does look like that may very well be what we're seeing. Now, not that long ago, back in August, we actually saw that IDW lost the Marvel Action Kid lines of titles. That's not a huge deal, but it's a big enough deal. You're losing Marvel titles. You can expect to have a little bit of pushback. And then they also lost the Star Wars titles, meaning, yeah, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And the fact that we learned, I believe it was last month, of course it was, it's only the 2nd of this month, that those Star Wars titles are returning to Dark Horse. This is all starting to paint a pretty picture of the sales are bad. And when I actually looked up the sales, they were more atrocious than I had ever thought. This company is constantly having losses. And right now, it does seem like, unfortunately and sadly enough, they are probably in the beginning of the end. And when I talk about sad numbers, I am not talking about The Last Ronin. That is a huge, massive hit for IDW. It is coming out, I believe, every 3 months, maybe every 2 months, and it's selling nearly 100,000 copies. That's huge for IDW, and I'm really glad they have that. But the rest of their titles, for the most part, are all under 20,000 units sold. And I would say about 50% of those titles are under 10,000 units sold. And that means you're not bringing in any revenue. And that's really sad. There has been a lot of reasons for this, right? We did see IDW basically bank their whole structure of their company on licensed properties. Meaning none of them were owned by that company, meaning nothing was an original IP. Now, there was stuff that came out from IDW that I enjoy, maybe one, a Lock and Key. Like, I can't honestly think of anything else at this point, but it also is a bit aimed at a younger demographic, I would say. And they do still have some IPs that are worth noting. One being Sonic. Some people like Sonic, right? Something that we've always loved and enjoyed as a child. Not something I necessarily want to read a comic book about. They also have Star Trek. And of course, I mentioned the terrible, terrible turtles. The terrible, terrible turtles. That's just what I'm going to call them from now on. I hate the turtles. Anyways, so yes, they still have those 3 IPs. Those are decent sized IPs, but Star Trek is not Star Wars, and it will never be. Star Wars is a huge property, but we actually got a bit of news that it looks like, and now I want you to remember this is a bit of a rumor, but it is likely what is going on. It does look like right now we are going to see them lose the G.I. Joe license, which is Hasbro. And I want you to remember that because Hasbro is a big name. Hasbro has 3, I believe it's only 3, licensed comics by them. The biggest of which I would say is G.I. Joe. So if you're going to lose G.I. Joe, you're going to see that those numbers that I said in the beginning, the ones that were above 10K, yeah, those are all going to be gone. And that's really unfortunate for this company. That's why I said I wasn't being hyperbolic when I said we may be seeing the beginning of the end for IDW. It is sad, but it may be over. So it does look like at San Diego Comic-Con just a little bit ago, you may not have, it wasn't very big this year, right? It didn't feel very big. I personally was just looking at like going through the stuff on Bleeding Cool and seeing it. My favorite is looking at the cosplay, right? I love when a fan is so passionate they're willing to put their own money and their own time into making something like that. And I think that's really cool. I love doing cosplay, or used to do cosplay, and I think it's really cool to see those things. But that's regardless. San Diego Comic-Con, it does look like the rumors started speculating. It does look like this month we're in now will probably be the last Hasbro titles at IDW, meaning goodbye G.I. Joe, goodbye Transformers, and probably My Little Pony. Yes, it does seem like those are all going to be lost. Now, he did say he did not hear about My Little Pony, but one could kind of speculate with it being a Hasbro property, it ending the comic and then not announcing anything new, it probably is going by the wayside. Now, where these IPs end up, I have no idea. They may end up going over to Dark Horse. They may end up starting with a new company. You know, there's plenty out there. But I'm not sure who's going to pick them up. But Transformers, huge, right? We are kind of ingrained to know Transformers and G.I. Joe, at least at my age. Might be dating myself a little bit, but that is something that we all grew up with, right? Even the movies with Megan Fox and yeah, even all of that, right? So these are, and I've heard actually that Grimlock is a good title. I don't know about it myself. I can't speak to it, but I have heard that title is pretty good over there. But these licensed properties have been released, it says, from 1967 to present. And it looks like we are going to see the end of these. Now, I am honestly curious. Who is going to take over? So Larry Hama was still writing it. Wow, that actually is a little surprising that it wasn't selling more. Like Larry Hama, come on, let's be real. Larry Hama is a fantastic writer. I don't know the artist, but it looks like a couple different artists. But I'm shocked that it wasn't selling at least a little bit more. Now, it could be simply because it's G.I. Joe. And G.I. Joe is, at least in my opinion, I would be curious about yours, it's a little dated, right? Everybody knows G.I. Joe, but doesn't necessarily care about G.I. Joe. It is something that is really cool for little boys to play with as a kid and shoot each other, right? But as of right now, it's not something I want to read about. Maybe that's just me. But it doesn't seem like it is. Or it would be selling, especially with Larry Hama on that title. I don't know. I think this is kind of sad, but I do think we're seeing basically the end of IDW. We're seeing it kind of slow. I am assuming within, I don't know, I'd give it a couple years for it really to take, place, but it's kind of sad. There's a lot of people that have jobs there. I'm not celebrating this. I'm delivering news. I want to be sure to mention that. Never, ever, I don't think anyone should celebrate someone losing a job or a company going under or going bankrupt. I think at some point you have to be a little bit more humane than that, right? Yeah, people lose jobs. They lose income. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in dire straits. So it's kind of sad. But at this point, we can kind of speculate if they lose these IPs after years of having them, even if they weren't selling great. This is probably it for IDW. And I hope anybody that is working at that company, it's very unlikely you're listening, but I hope you realize that maybe it's time to start branching out. If you're an editor, start applying for different editor jobs. God knows DC needs them. Good editors. Yeah, and there's plenty of other companies that need them too. Start branching out, start looking, because it does seem like this is a really, really bad sign. And I know a lot of people are happy Star Wars is going to Dark Horse, and I'm happy for them too. There still will be, of course, those titles at Marvel. Like, that's not going anywhere. You know, Marvel didn't lose out anything. They just are looking for a better team to produce their books, and I totally understand it. Plus, the Transformers books, from what I understand, had been getting a little weird and not great. Same with the G.I. Joe books. They were like not your American patriotism you expect. It's just kind of ingrained in G.I. Joe, right? So anyways, let me know, of course, what you guys think. If you are even buying IDW titles, or if you're like, I don't care. Yeah, I want to know. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.